Hello, and welcome back to Ask the Extrude Technician. I'm Rachel Ulrich. Today we have Will Henry, Research and Development Director with Extrude Tech, and Dr. Jim Peterson, Technical Consultant with Petfood Solutions. Today they're going to conclude their discussion about the use of refined chicken fat in the pet food industry. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rachel. Welcome, Jim. Let's first start out with, we've touched on the previous two episodes in regards to the food safety aspect of Gold Shield refined chicken fat. So how does that help us meet the requirements for food safety in the pet food arena?
So one of the biggest risks for pet food production is salmonella contamination of the pet food. And really that occurs through the chicken fat, because the chicken fat is applied after the high temperature extrusion. So any kind of contamination of the fat will then lead to contamination of the food. So what we have found, we've looked at this question fundamentally, and we said, what facilitates salmonella growth in chicken fat? And it's not the fat itself, it's the impurities in the fat. So by taking out the impurities, then you get a fat that is bacteriostatic to salmonella. So salmonella will not grow. So even during the transportation process, the material, the Gold Shield refined chicken fat remains bacteriostatic. So then when it's applied to the kibble, you minimize any chance of salmonella contamination.
So what exactly, in the refinements that you do, what exactly is the vector for salmonella on these impurities?
So we've studied that, and what we have in this residue are trace metals, which are needed for salmonella growth. We have organic materials, which salmonella uses and metabolizes food, and we have salts, which salmonella also requires for metabolism. So by removing all that, salmonella just cannot live, and over time will actually start to die, but it will not grow at all.
And if I understand the process correctly, and do correct me if I'm wrong, you're also evaporating any excess moisture that comes in with the initial product. So the moisture down here is below 0.25%, you would say?
So it's about that. So we do remove moisture, but during the transportation process, there's always some moisture that occurs. But because we remove all the other components, even if there is some water that happens during transportation, salmonella still won't grow. So it makes the transportation of the chicken fat, our Gold Shield refined chicken fat, much simpler and less risky, and not to be so concerned about having a little bit of water contamination during that process.
Okay, so let's move on to oxidation. As you're probably aware, we've also done some pilot trials with your refined chicken fat, and we executed our own internal accelerated shelf life study, where we were looking at the oxidation, the PV values of the samples we took. Just like with salmonella, what have we done here to improve the oxidation effect on your product?
So standard chicken fat is very susceptible to air oxidation. But we found out is that by removing this junk, which includes catalysts for oxidation, enzymes, metals, bacterial can catalyze oxidation. By removing those catalysts, then you get a much more stable product that can use less antioxidant and get the same results. So we've done a lot of studies ourselves looking at the stability of refined chicken fat with different levels of antioxidant. We now recommend a much lower level of antioxidant to get the same stability as using standard chicken fat.
Now that's interesting. So have we degraded the value inherent to the chicken fat through this process we're talking about here?
So an important factor is the fat itself does not change. So the reason that pet food manufacturers put fat in the diet is because it is important for nutrition, for energy, for ability to metabolize vitamins. So it's important to have fat in the diet. So all the fatty acids in refined chicken fat are really the same as in the standard chicken fat. So the fat itself has not changed. That's good for labeling. It's good for nutrition. So that's important. The reason that you add chicken fat for various reasons, for dogs, linoleic acid is an important fatty acid for coat health. That does not change, so the levels are exactly the same as in chicken fat, but all the non-fat components, they're removed.
So what do we see in relation to palatability with your product?
So palatability is an important factor. In some cases, people have seen enhanced palatability. And by slowing down oxidation, that can result in enhanced palatability. In other formulations, we see the changes, it hasn't been that significant. We see the same palatability. So you really need to test it. And we expect you to see the same or better.
Good. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Ask the Extrude Technician. This concludes our discussion with Petfood Solutions. If you have questions for the Extrude Technician, please go to our website and click on Ask the Extrude Technician.